Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Very early in Europe, Spain. Jamie, Nancy, hi Diane, welcome back. Kelly. So I, on a whim, set up my double live streaming right now. So I am live streaming into my YouTube channel. And I don't know how well this is going to work with the bandwidth. So we'll go with the flow. And if it goes kaput, then it goes kaput. If it breaks up, if it, yeah. So we will go with the flow. Hi, Duchess. Glad to see you. It's been a little while. So, yeah, this is for those of you who have joined or have not. It doesn't matter how you're showing up. You know, if you even know what we're doing today or not, it's all good and fine. And ooh, yeah, Liz, loving what is, from Byron Katie. I assume you're getting that from that. So this is the final session for the book study, There's Nothing Wrong with You, Going Beyond Self-Hate by Sherry Huber. So if you're new to me or not, new to the book or not, it's all good. You found this perfect time if you're seeing the live stream, if you're seeing the live recording. So what happens with the live streaming into YouTube, it automatically saves it as a video you can watch later. So if you have to leave, if you fall asleep, if you want to revisit the entire series, I have that in a playlist there, as well as the Conversations with God is another book study we're doing, and I have that playlist there, as well as just my general Insight Timer live replays are all in a playlist as well. So don't worry if you're not missing anything ever. So all of that is there. So please follow me there as well as follow me here. Give a donation if you would like. Always appreciate it. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram, my website, etc. Check me out. Hi, J.E. So, and if you do want a free copy of the PDF of this book that we're studying today, send me a message. I can also send, if you would like, the audio link, audiobook link. Hi, Britt. Haven't seen you in a minute. I was thinking about you just yesterday or the other day. I think just yesterday you were top of mind. So, yeah, maybe you picked up on that. I don't know. But yeah, curious how you're doing. So, I am a spiritual life coach, Reiki Master Teacher, and intuitive. I just got off an awesome call that's top of mind because I just finished the call. And it was a coaching call, and I was coaching them around the topic of sugar addiction and food addiction. And it really just kind of reawakened in me, my passion for helping others in that area. I've done that before in my one-on-one coaching. And, it's something I offer, and it's not something I've offered like kind of specifically in a while. And it kind of reignited my passion for it. And so I just left a message with my coach, because every good coach has a coach, just like every good sponsor in 12 step should have a sponsor. Yeah, and I was just reflecting on that aspect of my coaching that kind of I enjoy and have. It was just nice to reconnect with being with somebody in that space. So I'm sharing that here in case if there is anybody who does struggle with sugar addiction, or if you might call it addiction or not, because it's such a issue. And yeah, Jamie, it's such a game changer, and it can affect everything. And it's sort of, I mean, it's prevalent and it's rampant and it's an epidemic, kind of like cell phone and technology addiction. It's like so many people have issues with that, but yet it's become so like normalized that sometimes people don't see it as a problem, but it can be very, very destructive and debilitating and harming of our health. So if anybody's hearing this, maybe this is your message for you. If you have issues with sugar and you're ready to overcome them, that, I can definitely help you with that. So, yeah, an invitation out there if you struggle with sugar. Maybe this is source, higher power coming through. Maybe you've been praying for help. Maybe this is an answer to that. So just want to bring that in. Britt, I saw you say something. Let me see what that was. Wow. You finished your first semester. This must be like, are you doing a semester a month? Like, or like every 6 weeks? That's so intense. And you got an A. Amazing. I'm so proud of you. And not surprised, because I know you're super smart and amazing at what you do and had a promising interview. Yay! Thank you for sharing. So, there is that. So I'll just take a pause before we dive in that around the topic of this book study. We've been studying this book for about 6 months now. And I didn't even realize it, but last session I'm like, oh wow, we've got 4 pages left. So here we are. In this book study, I'll just like summarize why I did this. And many of you have been here from the beginning. I was living in Thailand at that time, 6 months ago-ish. And I went to a silent retreat for just a few days. And what I just noticed immediately, even in just the first hours of being silent, of just this shit show in here that's always there, and bless its heart. But it was just, whew, it was intense. Because when you're on this spiritual journey and when you evolve to a certain point, in this, you have this awareness, right? And having a level of awareness is a blessing and a curse, because you can't turn it off. You can't unsee it. You can't not know what's going on. And so that's why, people go on silent retreats to deal with their stuff and be with themselves. And I just, it was like a bit or like surprising maybe, or unsettling or something. I definitely was resistant. And then I definitely had judgments about myself of like, oh my gosh, like all I could see, it was just judgment on other people, other members that were at the retreat. And then of course with myself. And it was just like this suffering and this just in your face suffering. And I for some reason, this book, There's Nothing Wrong with You, which I'd read a couple years before, a coach I had gave it to me and recommended it, and I read it and I resonated. It came back into my reality in that moment. I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm like, I need to get back into this book. So I started reading it on that retreat, and then that's where this idea to study the book came. And now here we are, and it's been amazing. So, Jamie, okay, you were talking about the food issues being a game changer, and it's a metaphor for everything else. Yes, and that's what was uncovered in the session with this person earlier. Was it wasn't just about this, it was about a whole, system. So totally. Ooh, and now seeing your other comment, Jamie, you wrote and sang song lyrics today. So have you talked about, it might be somebody else, but I'm thinking maybe it was you, that you were going to go to like an open mic or something like that? Was that like something you mentioned that you wanted to do? Or I could be totally off, but I'm wondering if you, in the okay, so putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, to a group that had mixed energies of support and criticism, perfectionism. Amazing. So what I hear is that you did it. So even doing it, that's such a huge accomplishment, to create something, to even create it, period, to create it and then share it is like next level. And then what you noticed was you went into self-hate, or that started coming up right before. You noticed it, you saw it, and despite that, you took action anyway, regardless. So what a victory. Thank you for sharing, because that's the journey. That's what, all of this is about, is releasing this notion that there's something wrong with us. We're not enough. We're not good enough, whatever, however that shows up. And we've, in this time, 6 months in this book study, we've dove into, where this comes from. The book opens up with talking about that, the conditioning from childhood. And of course not, pointing fingers and being a victim to that, just a noticing that that's, what's present. It's more about too, like survival as humans, right? We need to not, put our hand in a fire and get burned. And if we're, actually that brings to mind a story. I don't know if I have a memory that's real or a memory of a memory, but when I was 3, my parents told me when I was a kid, my dad was barbecuing and getting the coals ready. And I took a hot coal in my hand and I started to put it to my mouth, because I'm 3, I don't know what I'm doing. And, my dad slapped it out of my hand, and of course I cried. But, we need that. We don't know. So it's like this conditioning of keeping us safe. We need it. And also then what happens with most of us is then, the way we are punished or the way we are corrected is not the most loving way. And so then we internalize that we are wrong, we're bad, we're not enough. And that's where, and that there's something wrong with us. And that's where this all comes from. So this book, went into noticing all of that. And then really identifying, how does it show up? And the book calls it self-hate. It also calls it egocentricity. The separate self, the ego. the critical mind, the critical voice. It really, the bulk of the book goes into identifying how all the incarnations of that voice, because it is very sneaky. And y'all that have been here, you know, have you seen that, and have you seen it in yourself where, you know, Jamie mentioned their example, you know, right before posting something they created, having the self-hate come up and doing it anyway. You know, that's, it might be more of an easy one to spot, but it can be subtle. So we are looking at, like, uncovering in this book the subtler ways that this comes up too. And then what it teaches sort of as the remedy is having the awareness, is having basically radical self-acceptance and surrender to these patterns of thought that we're aware of, and also using meditation and mindfulness to do that. Sitting in meditation being a way that we work with ourselves, and that we see these thoughts, just like me in the silent retreat, how this whole thing started. I was able to very clearly see it. But then it's about, then the answer is the compassion piece, the self-compassion. So, hi Angela, hi Amy. Yeah, and I mean, how many times, I think I said this recently, I heard that a toddler is told no like 400 times a day. Like, it's kind of natural to internalize that. So, do y'all hear the gecko? He's a big one. I don't see him, but yeah, the big ones you can hear. Yes. He's probably like this big. Like that. Yeah. Usually don't hear him in the mornings. And I'm in Bali, by the way, for those who don't know. So. Yeah, totally. So thanks for bringing that example in, Jamie. And I'm wondering if anyone else who has been here through the study, like, what's your biggest takeaways from it, and like where are you seeing that voice that says there's something wrong with you show up, or as the book calls, self-hate, where are you seeing that come up? You know, because awareness is the first step. For me, like, as I reflect back on my life, you know, I got sober the first time at 17 years old, the second time 22. And I think back to myself back then, even in my active alcohol and drug addiction, it's like, yeah, that energy, or that, like, not good enough, low self-esteem, low self-worth, you know, that voice, that critical voice, that judgmental voice, there's always something wrong. I mean, it's always been there, but it wasn't clear. I feel like for my journey, and I'm just making stuff up, but this is what my mind is saying, is that it was in the subconscious. It was like almost totally subconscious, maybe a little conscious, but very minimal. And especially, you know, being in active addiction, like drinking and drugging away every minute, like, and I definitely had self-hate around addiction, of course. But then once I got sober and, you know, this awareness started, it's like I can see it more clearly now. And it's maybe also with all the healing that's happened, it's more come to the surface. So, because I feel like it's the foundational issue. my beliefs are we are God in form. We are an infinite being, infinite soul. We have that infinite spark within us that is perfect, that is divine. And we come into this, 3D human existence to become and to remember that and unbecome. And so, it's to think that there's something wrong with me, or that I'm not good enough, or that I'm bad, is just the total opposite of the truth of what I truly am. So it's like this coming home, this journey, awakening, self-realization, which is releasing the judgment. And all judgment is resistance. So I shared this the other day in the live. I'm listening to Bashar now. I've listened before some, but now I'm listening more, and I'm loving his teachings. And he gave this affirmation to use every day. I am who I am for a reason. I am who I am for a reason. Which fits perfectly in line with there's nothing wrong with me. You came here and I came here. We came here to be ourselves. To become the most fully actualized version of ourselves. Which means accepting all parts and that there's nothing wrong. So that's why this journey is like, to me, the deepest journey. Hi Tony. And it's about self-love. And it's like, we know it as a concept. We know so many things as concepts. But it gets to come into being an experience and a reality and a lived experience. So, Liz, when they don't get reciprocity in friendships, feeling that not good enough come up, I can definitely relate in any sort of relationship. Duchess. Yeah. Ego, staying safe, playing small. Why this stuff hurts, and Abraham Hicks talks about this, like our inner being, which is that part, that bigger part, that why it hurts so much is because it's so out of alignment from what we truly are. That's why it hurts, which makes so much sense. Because we're not being true to ourselves. We're not being who we are. And there is nothing wrong with us. So it's this deep, deep, deep reprogramming that we're all up to on an individual and a collective level. This is not just about you as yourself, who you are. It's not about just me, Natalie. This is about the collective. And it's happening. And it's about generational and ancestral lineage clearing and healing. We are the cycle breakers. We are who we are for a reason. So with all of the pieces and parts that I want to reject or judge, I came in for a reason as this. Because it's what I saw on a soul level before I came back, to bring me into self-realization the fastest. So, if you are following with the book, the PDF, we are on page, let me just triple check. So it's 235 on the actual page of like the printed page at the bottom. And it's page 250 in my like PDF reader. So it says, on the path. Doing this work alone is difficult, but certainly not impossible. If you have a friend or therapist or counselor who understands this work, that person can assist you in keeping a perspective of disidentification that self-hate will be diligently attempting to remove from you. Remember that maintaining itself is the primary focus of self-hate. It is clever, slippery, and tricky. In the beginning, it will fool you more often than not, and that's okay. It's not a contest. What you're learning in this work is to have compassion for yourself no matter what. So in the closing of this book, it's talking about getting support. And you know, this is happening here, and I do offer that one-on-one, as I've said. And as I just said, a big part of what this book teaches is seeing where the slippery self-hate ego comes in. In 12th step, we say cunning, baffling, and powerful. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. The only thing it wants to do is to, wait. There was something it said. Self-hate's primary goal and focus is to maintain itself, okay? So that's why even any attention that you bring to it is maintaining it. So this is really important to notice and realize that it just wants to be kept alive by your paying attention to it. So of course, if you're not even aware that you're in it, like awareness is the first step, and then starting to notice where it shows up so that you can notice it, identify it, not judge yourself for it, because that's self-hate perpetuating itself, but then to bring acceptance, surrender, and compassion every single time that you notice. So even in Jamie's example of right before putting their work out there, and then they noticed the self-hate, and they posted it anyway, there could be a part that then judges them for hating themselves, right? But that's also the self-hate. And that's what I've noticed in myself is I'll have a victory of, oh, there it is. There's the ego, there's the mind, there's the judgment, there's the self-hate, whatever you want to call it. And I'll be like, okay, compassion, you know, it's okay. And then it'll try to come in over here and then make myself wrong for that. So it's just like this, it just goes like down this path. It's like the whack-a-mole. Oh yes, compassion, bop down the self-hate. Oh, it comes up over here. Well, it really takes commitment and total patience and surrender. And just, it's got to be okay. It's got to be okay. Okay, so Liz made the mistake of talking to people about your struggles, and it's exhausting, and you're tired of your story. So that sounds like a couple things going on there. That you talk to people, and I'm assuming it wasn't warmly received. if it was a mistake. And also, you say you're tired of your story, so that's like another piece of it. Yeah. So that, there's nothing wrong. Just there is something to notice, and then bringing self-compassion, and then taking action, whatever appropriate action may be. Great example. So the book continues. Keeping that firmly in the front of your awareness, here are some suggestions to get you started. So pay attention to these suggestions the book is closing with. Ask yourself, what are the things you've always wanted someone to say to you, but no one ever has? Ask yourself, and if somebody wants to, if you feel called, you can type in the comments. Because these are some things to do. Ask yourself, what are the things you've always wanted someone to say to you, but no one ever has? So that would be like writing a list of those things. Ask the child inside you what it needs to hear you say. So that would be another practice. Be getting quiet, asking your inner child, what do you need to hear me say? And then saying it, and I would suggest also writing it down. Make a tape or a recording in these days. Make a voice memo. Tell yourself the things you've always wanted someone else to say. Include everything the child needs to hear to feel loved and appreciated. Listen to this tape every day. Add to it when you think of something else you want to hear. Write love letters to yourself. Think of at least one loving thing to do for yourself each day. Make a list of things you'd like to have and begin providing them for yourself. Each time you give a gift to someone else, give something, even if it's a little, to yourself. Each time you receive a gift, give something, even if it's something little, to someone else. And really let yourself feel the joy of doing it. Stop and appreciate yourself for every thought and act of kindness. I want to pause there because I notice I have a lot of judgments, well, everywhere all the time, and also I do this process around my money and abundance practice called glad giving. I've talked about it before, where I give a portion of everything I receive outward. And it's amazing. And I've noticed I get into my head too much about because a lot of times what I'll do is I will give unexpected tips where here in Bali, we have full service gas. I haven't pumped my own gas in 10 years. I mean, in Asia, it's full service. Except in Malaysia last week, they wanted me to pump my own gas, and I didn't even know how to do it. But thank God there was a guy working out there, and I'm like, can you do this? Anyway, I tip these people. They make no money. I mean, they stand there all day long. And there's not a ton of gas stations around, petrol stations as we call them. So I will tip these people a lot of times. And that's part of my glad giving. But there's a judgment that I'm getting something out of it, so it negates it. Because I enjoy seeing them receive this. I mean, people don't tip them. And the other day, I basically tipped a day's pay, which is not a lot of money for us, but for them, it's a day's pay. because that was part of my allotment to give, and I felt it and I gave it, and he was so like couldn't believe it and was so happy. But I notice I have a judgment that like I'm getting something out of it, so I should give when nobody's watching, which I do that sometimes also. I donate to this charity in Bali. But I don't know if anyone else has anything like that around giving. But this would be a place where if you do, in this one that says, stop and appreciate yourself for every thought and act of kindness, you can hear all the judgments I have around it. So there's where a place where the self-hate is maintaining itself by latching itself onto this glad giving. That part is making myself wrong, that I'm doing it wrong. So this is so subtle and deeply ingrained. So Liz, you moved to Spain. Amazing. Love your affirmations there. And thank you. So I will continue this list. This is a longer list than I expected. So if anybody wants the PDF, and this, I can show you the page, or I might even create a document, like a resource where I pull this list out as something that is shareable on its own. Actually, I will do that, so that you can have that and I can have that too. Because these are ways to work with reprogramming ourselves, basically. So next one, get comfortable saying I love you to yourself and say it many times each day. I have given myself, like the inner child, or not even, but just like a part of myself, I call myself sweetie. And if I know, say like the judgment example I just gave, and noticing, making myself wrong for, I'm getting something out of giving this money, so that means it's not good enough and I'm doing it wrong and I need to not give in that way. Okay, sweetie, there's that pattern. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. You're doing great. How amazing that you gave. It's okay, sweetie. I love you. Like normalizing talking to ourselves like that. So Duchess, you hear the critical voice, which is awesome, because then you can do something with that, which is what I've been saying this whole time. That awareness is the first step. So next it says, take out pictures of yourself when you were little, frame them, place them in prominent places, and let yourself begin to appreciate that little person. Y'all know what I've got. Here, there's me. This is a really powerful thing to do, is to put yourself there on your phone. Look at me. There's nothing wrong with me. And that there's nothing, I'm still that person. That's me. And then the self-hate voice comes when it is, how could you hate and judge her? Look at how beautiful she is. How can you talk, have negative self-talk when that's you? So see how cunning that is? It comes in everywhere. So it even uses that. So then what I have done up until now is then I get frustrated. Here that is again. Okay. even here, even this, even now. It's okay. It's okay that that voice is there. It takes patience and compassion. It is just continually meeting ourselves. There's a part in the book that talks about like sometimes we'll get like, I don't want to do this anymore, and like that's enough, and that's the self-hate voice. Or I don't care anymore, and that's that, there it is again. So it takes, just like this whole journey, everything that I always talk about here, it takes commitment, moment to moment commitment. So hi Ginger. So yeah, you don't have pics, Angela. So what can you do? What sort of photo can you use? Or maybe it even could be drawing one, or having somebody draw one, or create something. So yes, I hear you, and that sucks. And also, you can then have an opportunity to, okay, how can I use another photo or get creative and create something? That's definitely possible. Yeah. So the fixing is the self-hate too, Liz, and mentioning getting tired fixing. So it's so subtle. We are not projects to be fixed because we're not broken, because there's nothing wrong with us. Yeah. So, next one, journal regularly, especially noting the self-hating ways you speak to yourself and treat yourself. Each time you become aware of a self-hating thought or action, remind yourself that even though you were taught to treat yourself that way, you're now committed to treating yourself with unconditional love and acceptance. I mean, just what I said. You can't make this shit up. It's got to be a commitment. And it is possible. So, Liz, trying to get out of being unhappy with self. Trying is a red flag word. Like, I get that. And also, if we're trying, then that keeps us stuck. Because you can't try to do anything. Trying is nothing. Like, it's a concept. So, we can only be happy with ourselves right now in this moment. We can't be happy into the future, tomorrow, when. That would be more of a trying. You know, we can do like energy healing, and we can do visualizations into the future. We can, be happy with ourselves into the past if we go into, a visualization of a past situation and bring ourselves loves. Or like if you're a Reiki practitioner like me, like can send Reiki into the past or future. And the mind, that's a trap of the mind that we just think, it's going to happen outside of this moment. It's never going to happen outside of right now, because there is only now. Yeah. Well, we're waking up, Jamie. I mean, I think I said this yesterday, very powerful live yesterday on Conversations with God. I invite everyone to watch the replay in my YouTube. That, how many years ago, like, people weren't talking about this because we were focused on food and farming and hunting and survival. So we are waking up. Hi, Johan. Welcome, Johan. Can you share more about your question? I don't know. Yeah, I need more context to answer. Hi, Jeff. So the next point is And of course, we would encourage a time of quiet and solitude each day, preferably a time of meditation, in order to be more present with yourself. The only way out of this life of suffering is through the doorway of compassion. But how do I find the doorway? You can't find it because you are it. The moment there's nothing left of you but compassion, you are the doorway. The door is wide open and you are free. So that's the end of the book. You are it. How many times have we heard this beautiful truth? All, everything's pointing to the same truth. Yeah, beautiful and powerful. So if you want the free PDF of this, send me a message. If this has been helpful for you today or altogether, give a donation if you'd like. This has been wonderful, powerful. I mean, this is my passion. This is what lights me up. So I love sharing this, and because it's, you teach what you most need to learn. Hi, Rose. Yeah. So it didn't even mention in the book, but it's a wonderful practice, the metta meditation, Buddhist meditation, loving kindness. I was in Sri Lanka in January. It's a mainly Buddhist country. Went to this beautiful meditation center at the top of a mountain and got, teaching from a monk. And this is what he did. This is what he taught. Loving kindness. So you can do that as your meditation. You can also bless every being that you see. We've talked about that recently. We've talked about the book, The Gentle Art of Blessing. I played it for y'all recently, the 3-minute daily blessing prayer. Because when we bless others, that removes judgment, any sort of judgment, even if it's judgment projected outside, is also self-hate. The book says it's self-hate projected outward. So when we bless others that we may just automatically judge, now you have the automatic judgment, then follow it up immediately with an automatic blessing, and you'll reprogram your mind. And do that with ourselves too, which the compassion is a blessing in a sense. But for many of us, it's easier to have compassion for others than ourselves. So what we can do with the loving kindness metta meditation is you start by imagining somebody in front of you that's easy to love. And it might be a pet or a person, doesn't matter. Could be a guru you've never met. I mean, whatever. It could be your partner laying next to you. It doesn't matter. But something or somebody that's very easy for you to feel goodwill towards. And you just say, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. Whatever you want to wish for them. And you really feel it. Let it light up your heart. Start to feel glimmers or openness into your heart. And really wish that person well and feel how that feels. And then you can either move to yourself after you've done that with an easy person or pet. Or you can then move to a neutral person. So say the gas station attendant if you live in Asia, or the grocery store clerk, whatever. The person, if you go to the same grocery all the time, bring them to mind. Wish them well. Have them imagine them standing in front of you. May you be blessed. May you be fulfilled. May you have joy and peace in your life. May you have good health. May you be free from suffering. And really wish that for them and feel that. Then you can move. You know, if it's very difficult to wish it to yourself, you know, you can move to that. Or if you really want to practice, then imagine somebody difficult in front of you that's you have energy around, resentment. Imagine them in front of you. But you don't start with that unless you're advanced level. You start with the easy ones. Then you can move to the difficult person. May you be blessed. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you have everything that your heart desires. And then yourself. Yeah, so great point, Duchess. Suffering is, you know, as we read yesterday in Conversations with God, God says it's not necessary. And also, I've heard, you know, Eckhart Tolle, I think, says it's necessary until it's not, or Adyashanti. So, regardless, everything's here to help us. You know, and my suffering in that silent meditation retreat 6 months ago has led us on this beautiful journey through this book study. So if I wasn't suffering, we wouldn't have had this experience together. So there you go. So we'll wrap up. There's been suggestions over the months of studying another of Sherry Huber's books. I only know this one. I'm open to others. And also, you know, I'm also going to pause and, I just get to discern how we can best spend our time in these live streams. So you're welcome. And if anyone has any suggestions or preferences, please send me a message. Don't forget to follow me here. Subscribe to my YouTube. I am double live streaming and I think it went okay. So you can see the replays will be there in the live section of my channel. And yeah, reach out if you feel the heart call, if you want support on this aspect of your journey. If you want somebody in your corner, supporting you, loving you, having compassion for you, not having judgment for you, while you navigate life, and somebody that will stand for you. Then reach out and let's have a conversation. Or especially anywhere where you feel stuck. And you might feel stuck around this. Hey, Jessica. Yeah. Yesterday, I know many of you were here in Convos with God. Like, my heart was moved, like, to tears. I was moved to tears by a couple of the passages, and it was so lovely. And I noticed the part of me wanted to hold back on that vulnerability because, you know, it wasn't expected, and it's not necessarily that I'm not practiced with emoting in that way with you all, and I allowed that, and it was, and I vocalized it and shared it and allowed it. It wasn't like I was bawling my eyes out, but it was beautiful. And I left the live stream just really feeling connected to Source and grateful. And there was two parts. I mean, it was just like spirit was just flowing. Like it's what I live for. But one of the quotes was, "Your happy destiny is unavoidable." And that one, I'd already highlighted it. It's already been like bookmarked. But yeah, that one remained. Aww. Liz, definitely. I know we're already messaged a bit in the messages here, so let's connect. Yeah, Jamie, I mean, that is a stretch, sounds like. So you don't want to cry. I mean, if you're worried about crying, I imagine you don't want to. This is a great opportunity. And it shows like, wow, it shows you care. It's beautiful. And also, you can't get it wrong. So if you don't end up crying or you don't end up being emotionally brave, there's also nothing wrong with that. So see the self-hate, the judgment, the good, bad, right, wrong can get in there like that. Yeah, Liz, there is a book called What You Seek is Seeking You. So it's not a test. It's not a failure if you do feel like crying and you don't allow it to flow in the way that your mind expects or judges that you should. This is so deep. And this is the awakening. So, my mind is like, it's so deep. It's everywhere. It's too much. It gets overwhelmed. There, it even comes in there. There it is. So, okay. There's all of those patterns. Ooh, I can see all of it. It's okay. Wow, great work, sweetie. You noticed it. Good job. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. Breathe. I mean, really, it's surrender. All of these teachings and messages are saying the same thing. It's really just surrendering to that. The quote is, "Your happy destiny is unavoidable." God is saying to us humans. Aww. Yeah. I mean, what would happen? I mean, wouldn't it be interesting? What could be an experiment, Jamie? An experiment. What if you showed up, experimented with allowing there's a lump in your throat? What if you experimented just allowing that to be there? Or just even maybe saying, kids, I've had a lump in my throat for 2 days, knowing our last day is today. I'll type it. Oops. Oh, they're adults. I'm imagining a group of kids. Not that it makes a difference. Yeah. Aww. I mean, for me, in my own perception, I would say it'd be more impactful for adults and more safe even, because kids can be cruel, but that's just my own perception. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what a gift your vulnerability could bring. What an impact it could make. For me as a coach, like, it's about always working with putting the focus back on the person that's in front of me, if it's, a client or a potential client or just somebody I'm connecting with. If I notice I'm like thinking about myself, then that's the red flag to be like, let me get back with my focus onto them and how they can be served. So even with this, could it be if you think about them instead of thinking about being self-focused and worried that you're going to cry, like maybe there's something there for you of having a shift into, if they're all absolutely lovely humans, it may actually be a wonderful example for you to be honest. And of course, there's no pass fail. So we want to watch that self-hate voice that might want to come in there. So, and would love to hear, if you care to share next time, what happened. So I will see you all. Please follow me so you'll be notified of future lives. Let me see when the next one is. I think it's this weekend. Yeah. So our Saturday Night Live is next. Thank you all. We'll be thinking of you, Jamie, on your last day. And all of you here. May you all be blessed. May you all be free from suffering. May you all be at peace. Yeah. I live in a Balinese compound, they call it, a homestay in the back of the compound. So there's cows, there's roosters, there's geckos. So I will see you all very soon. Much love. Namaste and blessings. And don't forget, and when you do, don't make yourself wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. Bye-bye.